This is Jarrod Horak, and in this video, I'm going to analyze the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby at Parx. This is my second big Grade 1 race that I'm covering at Parx for Saturday, September 21st. I did the Cotillion Stakes earlier, and you can check that one out on my YouTube channel. And now I'll do the 13th race, the Grade 1 $1 million Pennsylvania Derby, with 3-year-olds traveling a mile and an eighth on the main track with a 6:10 p.m. Eastern Time post time. And starting out this field is number 1, Doc Sullivan. This is a New York bred son of Solomini, with 9 starts, 4 wins, 4 seconds, and a third. So he's very consistent. He has good stalking speed. Last time out, at this mile and an eighth distance in the Albany Stakes, he was patiently handled from post 5 in a 5-horse field, and he rallied to finish second, beating the length. Panda Gate was able to defeat him that day, and he was well clear of the show finisher. Panda Gate also beat him in the New York Derby on July 15th, and Doc Sullivan won a New York bred stakes race, the Mike Lee Stakes. That was at Saratoga on June 9th at 7 furlongs in the slop. So Doc Sullivan always runs his race. Jose Ortiz, a 21% route rider, riding for the first time. He should save ground behind the speed in here. So he should have every chance to succeed turning for home. He should be in a good spot throughout. It's just a question of, does he class up with this group? Number 2, Seize the Gray. He's one of the contenders in here. 4 for 12 with 3 show finishes for trainer D. Wayne Lucas. And this son of Arrogate was good earlier this year in the spring when he won the Grade 2 Pet Day Mile when he was cutting back to a 1-turn mile. He stalked he pressed early, and then he dropped back to stalk the pace, and then he was full of run in the stretch, and he won by a length and 3/4. And then in the Preakness Stakes, 2 weeks after the Pet Day Mile, it was a wet track, it was a speed favoring track, and he was able to get out there and show the best early speed. And that's all it took, because he just stayed clear throughout, and he won by 2 1/4 lengths at 9-1 odds. And he defeated Kentucky Derby winner Mystic Dan that day. So Seize the Gray, he had some breaks his way for sure in that race. Morning line favorite Muth had shipped in from Southern California, but he got sick shipping into Baltimore, and he scratched Preakness week. And then the rains hit, they sealed the track. It was a speed favoring wet track. Seize the Gray took advantage of all of those opportunities, and he won the Preakness nicely. But he hasn't been able to duplicate that race. Grade 1 Belmont, speed favoring track, the race flow favored early runners. He set the pace from the inside post, but he wasn't able to keep going. He was beaten a dozen lengths. The Grade 2 Jim Dandy, they took him off the pace last time. He seemed to resent that, and he was beaten a dozen lengths again. He's not facing any of the company that he's been facing recently. Horses like Fierceness, Sierra Leone, Dornock, Mindframe, Mystic Dan. None of those horses are in here. So this is an easier class opportunity for him, and he should be up on the pace in this race. But it should be noted that his big speed figure that he earned in his career was in that Preakness Stakes, and it was in the mud. It was a sealed track. It was a speed favoring wet track that day, and the morning line favorite scratch. So a lot of things went right that day for him to get that speed rating, and he didn't run that kind of number before that, and he hasn't run it since. So we'll see what we get from Seize the Gray in this spot. Number 3, Lonesome Boy should impact the pace, but he's probably outmatched in here. In the stakes race at 6.5 furlongs off of the layoff last time, he was not really a threat in that race. In his stakes races around 2 turns, he wasn't really a threat in a couple of them, like the Long Branch Stakes at Monmouth, when he dueled on the lead and he weakened. He was beaten 11 lengths. And then the Wood Memorial, he pressed the pace. He was 4th, beaten 7 lengths. So I think he's going to run those kind of races in here, show that kind of speed like he did in the Long Branch and Wood Memorial. It's just probably not going to be good enough, because he's going to be facing other quality speed horses. I mentioned Seize the Gray is one of them, and there are some others I will be talking about in a few minutes. Now, Timeout in here is interesting for trainer Bill Mott. Excellent pedigree. Curlin is the sire. Stakes winner Lull is the dam, and the dam sire is Warfront. This one has an excellent pedigree to continue to get better, and he has some upside with only 5 starts. And speaking of those 5 starts, he was in the top 3 in all 5. And he was able to break his maiden in his 3rd career start. His first 2 starts at 7 furlongs and a 1-turn mile, he got going too late. When they stretched him out to a mile and an eighth, that was the ticket to his maiden victory. And they also put blinkers on that day. And he showed better tactical speed, and he graduated by a neck. They tried him in the restricted Curlin Stakes. And in that race, he tried to rally from off the pace, but he wasn't able to get enough pace help. The race flow really wasn't in his favor either. Unmatched Wisdom, who's also in this field, was able to control the pace and wire the field that day. Corporate Power was second, and Timeout ended up finishing a clear 3rd that day. Now, Unmatched Wisdom and Corporate Power both ran in the Travers Stakes. They were no threat. Timeout came back in actually an entry-level allowance race at Saratoga at 1.125 on August 17th. And he, from the outside post in a 7-horse field, he raced wide throughout, and he ended up finishing second, beating a half length. So now he's back in stakes company, still has upside. Joao Rosario is going to ride. He should get some pace help. I can see him finishing somewhere in the mix. Protective for trainer Todd Pletcher. He's won that as a maiden. He ran in the Grade 2 Wood Memorial, and he rallied to finish third. The Grade 3 Peter Pan, he was third there as well. The Grade 1 Belmont, he was sixth, beaten 9 lengths. Then they went back to the maiden ranks with him. That was at 1.125 at Saratoga on July 14th, and he was 85 cents on the dollar, and he was second best that day. And then last time, originally scheduled for the turf, run at 1.25 miles on dirt. He only faced 3 rivals. He was 5 cents on the dollar, and he stuck the pace. He opened up a clear lead, and then he won by 1.25 lengths. Probably should have won that race better. He didn't earn a great speed rating either. I read Ortiz Jr. is going to ride. He'll try to get involved, probably sitting somewhere in mid-pack. But just based on that last race, his speed rating dipped off, and he did get that maiden win, which was a confidence-boosting win. If he can run back to his Wood Memorial or Peter Pan, maybe he can hit the board in the spot. Just Step On It's the 6, and he's 15-1 morning line. He's had 11 starts, 3 wins in 3 seconds. He's won a couple times at Parx. So he handles this oval. And last time out, he was in the Smarty Jones Stakes, the local prep race for this, and he set a controlled pace there. 25 for the opening quarter, 48-4, 113-4. So he was just up there, very controlled fractions. He wasn't able to win, but he did hold second. Gould's Gold for trainer Kenny McPeak won that race, and Just Step On It was second, beaten 3 quarters, and he finished in front of clear show finisher Uncle Heavy. He's facing that rival again in this race. He was in the Haskell as well, and he impacted the pace. Stalking, he got to within a half length of the lead after the 6 furlong mark, and then he weakened to finish 4th, beaten almost 9 lengths. So based on class and the way that the race shape plays out, I mentioned we saw some other horses that I mentioned earlier were speed horses. He's another one that'll impact the pace, may not be around at the end. The morning line favorite in here is the 7, Dragoon Guard, and he certainly should impact the pace. 5 starts, 4 wins, and a second for trainer Brad Cox. This son of Arrogate will be ridden by Florent Giroux, just like he always is. And he's on a nice 4-race winning streak after losing his debut at 7 furlongs by a neck. Then he graduated at 7 furlongs second time out. So his first race was September of 2023. Then his first start this year, he broke his maiden at Keeneland at 7 furlongs in April. Easy win there. Optional claiming race in the slop at Churchill Downs on June 2nd. Easy front running victory there. Indiana Derby, he went all the way. Won by more than 2 lengths over Stronghold. He's back in this race. And then the West Virginia Derby, controlled the pace, won that one. So we'll see if he can control the pace, because just on paper it doesn't look that way, but you have to respect his record for sure. Unmatched Wisdom, 3 wins to start his career. 1 mile in the mud in his debut in May. He won that one by 6 lengths, pressing the pace. He stalked the pace in an allowance race second time out, stretching out to 1 1/8. He won that one by more than 5. Then in the Curlin Stakes, he was able to get out there and dictate the pace from the inside post against 5 rivals. He was 40 cents on the dollar, and he won that one by a length. And then the Travers Stakes, he was 9-1. He didn't run his best race there. He never really got involved. Didn't get up on the pace early like he usually does. But this time, he does reconnect with Flavien Prat, who was aboard for those first 3 victories. So he's back with his favorite rider, and he'll probably get more aggressive handling in this spot for trainer Chad Brown. Who's the King is next, and he's 1 for 10, so he's still eligible for an entry-level allowance race. And he was in a starter allowance race last time, 7th, beaten 25 lengths. So he seems up against it in this spot. He's never been in the stakes ranks, and he's going to really be tested. He'll probably try to get involved early under Mike Smith, and Safi Joseph Jr. is the trainer. Jockey trainer team 2 for 3 together recently. Uncle Heavy is next. This one's 3 for 8. He's won a couple races at Parx, and he's won that in the Wither Stakes. He upset that race earlier this year, and that was a good looking effort. It was in the mud. He was racing wide throughout, and he got up by a nose. And then in the Wood Memorial, 5th beaten 11, Preakness 6th beaten 13, Ohio Derby 5th beaten 10 lengths. Put blinkers on, dropped back in class into a non-graded stakes race in the Smarty Jones Stakes, the local prep for this last time. That was on August 24th, and he was an even third there. The race shape really wasn't probably to his liking. He likes to get involved late. That was a slow early, fast late event, and he was 7 lengths clear of the rest, finishing third. I expect Uncle Heavy maybe to run a bit of a better race in here, but I just don't think that he's quite up to this company. And then the 11, Stronghold in here. He's going to have to overcome the outside post. Very consistent, though. 8 starts, 4 wins, 3 wins in 4 seconds. And he's 1 for 1 at this distance. He won the Grade 1 Santa Anita Derby by a neck at a mile and an eighth in his lone start at this trip. And he won the Grade 2 Sunland Derby prior to that. He's one that I've always liked. I liked him in the Sunland Derby. I picked him. I liked him in the Santa Anita Derby. In the Kentucky Derby, he had post 17. That was a quick pace that day where all the forwardly placed runners were nowhere at the end except Mystic Dan, who was able to save all the ground behind the speed. But Stronghold from post 17, stalking wide, he made a move into that fast pace, couldn't keep it going. 7th, beaten 12 lengths in a 20-horse field. I thought that was a solid enough effort considering his post, considering the way that the race played out on the track with the closers doing so well. And then Phil D'Amato gave him some time off. He ran him in the Grade 3 Indiana Derby. That was on July 6th. Race shape really wasn't in his favor there. Dragoon Guard was able to get out there and control the pace. Stronghold was the favorite, and he was clearly second best, stalking from an inner post that day. So Stronghold now from the outside. Antonio Fresu, one of the riders I really like in California, he sticks aboard. He rides this horse well, and I would expect that Stronghold will probably end up stalking the pace in this spot. So Dragoon Guard's your favorite in here, but I'm going to go with the 11 Stronghold as my top choice. I've always liked this horse. He was in my Derby list when I was doing my Kentucky Derby blogs leading up to the Derby. I had him as part of my list from far back when he was even a 2-year-old. So he's one that I've been following throughout his career. It's been nice to see him have some success winning the Grade 3 Sunland Derby, Grade 1 Santa Anita Derby, and then finishing second in the Indiana Derby. I think Phil D'Amato has really managed him well, picking out good spots for him. And I think that this race, just based on the race shape with multiple horses liking to show speed and Stronghold from that outside post, stalking the pace, I think if he can get that clear trip and get the jump on the deeper closers, maybe Stronghold can win this Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby. He's already a Grade 1 winner. See if he can get a second Grade 1 in this race. So my top 4 in the Pennsylvania Derby, I'm going to go with the 11 Stronghold as my top choice. My second choice in here, I'm going to go with the 4 Timeout. I still think he has upside. I really like his pedigree, the son of Curlin. Bill Mott has him in a good spot where I think that the race shape could be in his favor, and he could run a good race from off the pace. And then rounding out my top 3 and top 4, Unmatched Wisdom, number 8, my third choice. The 7, Dragoon Guard, is my fourth choice. So here's how we will play this race. I'm going to make a win wager on number 11, Stronghold, play an exacta box with Timeout, number 4, and 11, Stronghold. A trifecta key, I'm going to key Stronghold over the 4, 7, and 8. And then one more trifecta. I'm going to put 3 horses on top in this race, the 7, 8, and 11. And I'm going to use all in second. And then I'm going to key my live long shot, number 4, Timeout, in third. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this horse racing content. And if you're interested in my Santa Anita Park full cards, at Santa Anita Park Autumn Meet will begin on September 27th. And you can purchase individual full cards, weekly and weekend packages, or the entire meet. And go over to the runawayhorse.com on my sales page for more details. I'm also going to be doing the Del Mar Fall Meet, including both days of the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar. I do that annual 2-day Breeders' Cup full card every year, and that will be available later this fall at the runawayhorse.com on my sales page. You can also purchase my full cards at todaysracingdigest.com. And then one more thing, if you want a daily free pick, go over to my personal website, therunawayhorse.com. At the top of the front page, you're going to see a Better Bets blog tab. Click that. It'll take you over to my daily best bet. So every day from around the country, I post a free pick at that Better Bets blog at therunawayhorse.com. And that will wrap up this video. And until I see you next time, good luck at the race.